Okay, so let's get started then. Uh, Good evening, everybody. This is now our February of 2025 Camp Directors Chat for now Scouting America, New Hampshire. So this is our first Camp Directors conversation and summer camp conversation under our new moniker. So it's going to take some getting used to, but we'll get there. So firstly, I wanted to start out with is we have both camps represented here tonight. Are both of our camp directors, Joe Connie at Camp Carpenter and Andy Aldis over at Griswold. We have a couple just big items to cover in general camping, and then we'll break you guys out into breakout rooms so you have the opportunity to get your personalized update from your camp director. So the first thing we wanted to cover tonight is that we have added some new content and some new information to our websites. But really, before all that, this is our last camp directors chat before the early bird deadline. So that $100 deposit to be able to lock in that price is going to be due on March 14th. That's a Friday this year. So generally it's March 15th, but we put it back to the 14th because end of business. We need to wrap that up, get everyone going for the weekend. So if there's any questions or problems or issues with getting stuff registered, we can do it with as much support from either member care or myself as possible. So next thing is that 14th deadline also pertains to our campership application. So the campership is a kind of a tiered process again this year, where we have the 14th deadline for any applicants to go in, and then the next week is when the scout leaders are going to have to get all of their requests submitted in their secondary form. So that's all automated. It's all going to be coming to you automatically through JotForm. So you don't have to request or you don't have to follow up. It should just come right to your inbox as scout leaders. Beyond that, that's really it for deadlines before our next camp directors chat. Really, we just got to more personalize things in the breakout rooms. So next thing we want to talk about is what kind of content we've added to the website. Right now, we've added a brand new version 2.0 program guide to both camps. So we have some updated content in there that should be reviewed by everybody. We've updated all of our verbiage to reflect the name change for Scouting America, New Hampshire, and then some other things. So we're going to be making sure that we put out a notification every time we update the program guide this year, just 2.0 now, and we'll let you know when the 2.1, 2.3, or 3.0 comes out. So as content and more stuff comes down from national, especially when we're going to be talking more about lifeguards and everything like that, there's a lot of fun stuff that's going to be changing here in the next couple of weeks. So, yes, Mike, the campership is out. It's going to be on the individual camp page. So if you go down on either Camp Carpenter, Griswold, and you click, give me a second here. We're just looking at this. It's going to be resources. Yep, here we go. So if you go to a camp page and go under resources, it's going to show the request a camp scholarship. And then so Ellen, the link to parents, they can fill it out, but it will automatically go to the Scoutmaster, correct? Yeah. So once they're done filling it out, you cannot fill it out partial. Either you finish it or it doesn't get logged. So once all the information's in there, you click submit, then it'll go to the Scoutmaster or the Cubmaster to be able to verify. So the family does not go to the family can talk to the Scoutmaster about what their situation is. They probably should be communicating because everyone should be aware of what kind of fundraising needs to be done. It's a combination of what the council can help provide. We want to give at least some money to everybody. We're not going to cover more than 50% for anybody going to camp. So any other help or closing the gap, like that's where fundraising is a huge deal. So in this believe just happened this past week. There was a training, and I believe it's recorded from Michael Farr on camp cards for this year and maple syrup. So any kind of fundraising anyone can do to be able to get themselves to camp, it's good for fundraising. Let's see here. All right. So, camping leadership. Am I missing anything right now before we break out?
I don't know, did you mention the deadline coming up for the early bird deposit?
First thing I mentioned.
Good.
Had to
Then
get that
that's
one out of
all
the way.
I,
Otherwise,
that's
it
all
could,
I,
yeah,
yep. And that's all I thought we should mention.
perfect. All right. Awesome. And there's that. And then we're still working on campership application, campership. So we're still working on camp promos, guys. Just, trying to find staff and making sure everything works. The link does work. The form does work. We do see your camp promotion requests, and we're going to do our best to fulfill as many of those requests as we possibly can. Okay. All right. Awesome. So, everyone, I'm going to ask you now to put in your name plate there. So just type in and change your name. It'll say CC or GSR on it, and I'll set up a breakout room, and we can break out into our separate camp rooms to start talking about our individual camp programs.
Question.
Yes.
So I'm only on audio only. How do I put GSR? I can't tell.
So if you're GSR, you're going to stay in the main room here, and then I'm going to break out and send the Camp Carpenter folks to a different room. So you'll stay right here.
You.
So you're good. Good question. Yep. All right.
What'd you say? You click again to get in?
Are you just put into your name just GSR or Camp Carpenter, depending on what kind of camp you want to be able to hear the session for.
Okay. I do not see how to do that.
You wanted to go to GSR Camp Carpenter.
Oh.
Upper right corner of your picture, you'll see three dots. Click on the three dots. Bottom line says rename.
Says view profile and pin. For Camp Carpenter? Oh. Here we go. Okay, rename. I got you. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
John, I put a question in the thing about who's allowed for autofill.
Autofill?
On when you're registering. If you look at my question in the chat.
Oh, sorry. There's a note document saying the autofill is set up for Scoutmaster. Okay, so you're talking about getting the roster uploaded automatically.
Correct.
Yeah. So James does that about once a month for member care, uploading the most updated roster, and so basically the COR, actually not the committee chair and the Scoutmaster or Cub Master are the two folks that we have listed. And we have to get permission from one of those two to be able to authorize.
And I'm asking if the COR can be added to that okay list.
Yes, they can, but we have to hear from the Scoutmaster or the committee chair first. So that email has to go out, that interaction has to be documented, and then I can add it in.
Okay, but the COR really has more control than the Scoutmaster or the committee chair because of his role.
I understand that that's not our deliberate choice. That's how Black Pug is set up in terms of uploading rosters. And so just to keep people's information,
it's Black Pug.
It's a Black. Yep. So Black Pug chose the committee chair and the Scout Master / Cub Master for that. So All right, Joe, I've assigned you as co-host. I'm going to have you lead your group, okay? Please make sure to click record when you get in there. Thank you. Let's see here. If you, anyone else still looking to get into the Camp Carpenter breakout room? No?
I'm looking at both pages. I don't see any flickering microphones or anything.
Okay.
So,
Oh, Samantha.
Samantha Causa in the
There
chat.
you go. No, there's a CC in her name. I can see it now. Perfect. All right. Awesome. Okay. I'm gonna hop over to the breakout room so I can click record. So I can tell Tyler that I recorded the Camp Carpenter session this month. So Andy, if you want to take the floor here, I'll be back in a sec. Okay.
Sure thing. All righty. Hi, everybody. Thanks for making it to the meeting. Let's see. Yeah, the first thing on my note was John had already touched upon. But a big note from Adam. He apologizes for not being here tonight. But he did say that the biggest program announced is that the program guide is live at nhscouting.org/GSR. And as John said, it's been checked out with all branding and hopefully spell checked and all of that sort of thing. So hopefully that will answer a lot of questions. But of course, if you have any questions tonight, we'll do our best to answer them. And if we can't answer them, you can either email Adam or you can always email the GSR support at nhscouting.org and indicate it's a GSR program question or put for Adam or something like that in the body or subject so that he can get back to you as quickly as possible. But we'll certainly try and answer any immediate questions if you have them. So that's really the all I have from Adam for tonight. But that was the big one is that yes, the program guide is there. He is working on a separate merit badge prerequisite document. So hopefully his estimate is about a week for him to have that out. So that will also help scouts decide what badges they want to take, or at least get themselves prepped for the badges they have their hearts set on. Let's see, and let's see, and he is. We're working on getting merit badge registration set up in Blackpug. But as soon as we have that live, we will let everybody know. So yeah, that was all of the, and I'm reading the email a third time to make sure. But yes, that appears to be all of the notes from Adam. So does anybody have any program specific questions that I can take a shot at?
Are there any new and different merit badges being offered this year?
We did change some, so you will want to take a look at the list. We took, I want to say, I think it was 4 of the least taken merit badges from last year off the list, and shuffled in replacements for them that we weren't offering last year. But the bulk of all of the regular ones that most kids take are all still there.
Cool, thanks.
But that is all updated in the program guide. Yeah, well, pre-rec guide include the age restrictions for badges, any particular ones with age restrictions that you know of offhand. I can't think of anything new that would be different from previous years. Like I don't trying to think right off the top of my head as far as age on merit badges. I don't think there really are any until you get to I don't think there's an actual age restriction on climbing, and I don't think there's an actual age restriction. I know shotgun is recommended for older or larger kids. You don't want somebody trying that their first year at camp. It will not be a good experience for them. Yes, NATV. All right. So yeah, all of that, the age stuff is in the program guide. Will Sunset Waterfront be open this summer?
I can take that one.
Okay.
So someone clearly pays attention to the New Hampshire Department of Public Resources website on our land and agriculture, cultural resources. The Sunset Dam is nearing completion with an estimated time of May 2025. Now, we had a discussion about this internally, and frankly, even if it was ready in time, which is a big if, with any kind of construction project, as they refill the lake, we felt that at this time we feel comfortable with the amount of aquatics program that we're offering on the bodies that we are currently offering it on. And with the addition of the added wrinkle of changing aquatics credentials to Red Cross this year, adding a second aquatics director, because that's what we would need on a separate body of water as another person to go to camp school. I made the decision that I would rather train folks to be able to train other lifeguards. And that's where we're going to be putting our training resources this year. So don't say no in future years. It's a great lake, but right now our membership or campership and the program design right now doesn't really call for it. So I'm not saying never, but not in 2025.
All right.
You're welcome, Marcy.
And let's see. Mike is asking. No. Yes. Thank you for pointing out. I was not aware of this issue last year, obviously being new in my role. And I will work with Adam to try and minimize any of those sorts of conflicts as much as possible. Because yes, what you're signing up for in Black Pug should match the program guide and the pre-rec guide that we put out. So Adam is new in his role and I am new in this role, so we will do what we can to try and be shining stars if we can our first summer out. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that that's not a problem this year. Let's see. We caught up on questions, I think.
So, Jessica, to answer your question, I believe you might be conflating Cub Scout rappelling with Scouts BSA climbing. So
In
Cub Scouts
previous
cannot.
years, we've been told it had to be at least 13, if not 14 for cope. And
Cope
we've
is
had
diff-
kids get really upset about
Oh,
that. So
okay, so cope is different than climbing. So like when you're climbing on artificial structures versus like natural structures, it's weird that like Cubs can only rappel and boulder.
I tried to
But
register someone for climbing and it wouldn't let me last year. I'm not saying it's not going to be this year. I'm just saying in previous years, it's told me that I couldn't register
so
someone because they weren't of
there
age.
was a so that would be something I'd have to look more into with our cope and climbing committee because I'm looking at the 2025 requirements because a lot of merit badges did get updated in 2025, like starting January 1. I'm not finding an age requirement at this time, so I'm not sure if that's a New Hampshire thing.
That's great. I have lots who want to
internal
do it,
policy
so
thing,
I'm
but right. So
I'm happy for the change. I'm just saying in the past I've had the problem.
hold your excitement until we can get a little right. Right. Yeah. So that's something I'll have to look more deeply into, to be honest with you, Jessica, but thank you.
Right. I think one of the important notes to just remember in general, the ages for merit badges would be as specified by the national organization, because that's what we follow, as would be ages for any of the other extra activities. So like cope or ATVs, just like going to a high adventure base, have age requirements. So essentially, all of that should be as per national policy guide to safe scouting. So if and like I said, on if there were requirements put on in the past for one reason or another that were camp specific, they have not that I don't know what they were. So I can only speak about moving forward. Thank you for the information about there being age restrictions, it looks like, on climbing. But it looks like there's different people have had different experiences between whether they were at Bell or whatnot. But specifically on the merit badges, that would be, you can look that right up at the requirements at the national website. And what we're offering will match that. We don't deviate from the requirements.
Hey, Andy and John, there was a question earlier tonight, I think before we had a breakout, from Jeff Scott asking if he can arrange a camp promotion for next Thursday. So it's kind of up at the top of the list if you want to take a look at it.
Okay. Jeff, that's 292 in Hooksett, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, kudos to you, sir. You were our first one to submit a request this season, so appreciate the gung ho.
The original date was this past Thursday, but fortunately it's postponed because of snow, so you still have a shot.
Oh, all right. Fantastic. All right. Okay. Sweet. Fantastic. All right. Andy, is there any, I guess I missed some of the update from when I was over in the carpenter session. Is there any, are we ready to start talking about things like the backpacking program at all?
Yes, as far as I know yet. I was just trying to get comment on questions and so forth.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, that's a good note from Google. So exactly like I thought, there was not technically a minimum age. So you know, if someone is a younger scout, wants to do the climbing merit badge, and they are physically capable of doing it, then you know, the way it's offered at camp, then they should be able to do it. You know, if somebody, you know, this is something that I hope troop leadership is keeping an eye on as scouts are registering for things. You know, as I would in my own troop, encourage scouts to take badges that they can achieve. I know that sounds like a kind of simplistic, but you know, sometimes there's the gut reaction to just like, oh, let him give it a shot. But if you know that like there's a 90% chance of that kid not getting that badge and walking away from camp super disappointed, he's going to be disappointed in the program overall, not just those 2 days at camp. So, you know, yes, as a young scout decades ago, did I, you know, go home with a partial at some point? Certainly. Am I still here? Yes. But anytime we can help a scout be set up to achieve their goals in their week at camp, that only makes their experience better. And so I feel very strongly about the summer camp experience for scouts. I think it's a huge, I know it's only a week, maybe 2 for some scouts, but it is a huge part of the scouting year for them. It allows them to not just see the kids in their troop. It's not just like going to a camporee where you see other kids in the district, but you see scouts from all over. You see scouts and you see international scouts who might be on staff. You get to see all this other great stuff, and you really don't want to cloud their experience with going home feeling like they failed at something. So yes, we can encourage them to try hard at something, but if at all possible, we as responsible adults should encourage kids to take badges that they have a high chance of achieving. That's just a general my expression on that. So hopefully that gets there. All right. So yeah, there we are on ages and sizes and stuff on merit badges. Good. So yeah, go ahead. John, you had something you wanted to.
Yeah, no, just some, again, you guys are firing off in the chat tonight, which is fantastic. So firstly, thank you, Sherry. You're right. And I think that does speak to Andy's point well, that we, you know, older scouts, you know, might be more tailored to certain merit badges than others, you know, and that just comes with age, experience, and skill. And you know, that's fine. You know, you might have a really, really, you know, mature, you know, heady 12-year-old that just wants to go out and do climbing and they're ready for it. But maybe you have a really immature 15-year-old that, you know, I don't want them belaying me. You know, I don't think that they have the ability to focus and take this responsibility seriously. And that's fine. And so that's what all this is for, right? Is to get them to that point, give them the opportunity to be responsible. And so again, thank you for pointing that out. And it really hits on Andy's point. To speak to Stephen's point, firstly, I want to say welcome back to Griswold. We're really excited to welcome your unit back to GSR. The big thing that I would say is the reservation is still the reservation. You'll recognize a lot of everything that you've seen in the past, but some new program areas, some new equipment. But really, we have pretty much the same layout footprint wise on the reservation at this time. So we have added some new program areas. We have a handicraft pavilion now instead of a handicraft tent. That was a big change last year that we're pretty excited about, frankly. But to your point about program experience, we offer Bell day-long program. That's kind of how we pitch it, just to make it the concept easy to grab. Is you can do ATV, you can do horses, you can go do mountain man, you can go do logging camp, over on the Bell side of the reservation. But there are no tenting, your full method cooking and everything that's not occurring on the Bell Hill. We have some stuff we're excited to talk about the Bell Hill, but I guess the structure delineation between two distinct camps on property has kind of gone away. It's one reservation. And you can opt now to do patrol cooking over at Valley, and we do offer that. And so something that we've actually had a conversation with multiple units is they have 5 or 4 patrols. 2 of them want to, patrol cook all week, and 2 of them want to just go to the dining hall. We don't see a problem with that. We've talked about with our commissioning core about that. Our Adam, who's our most recent dining hall steward, we don't see an issue in being able to execute upon that for certain units, because it goes by patrol anyways. It would be flip-flopping back and forth. We want to do this meal in the site, this meal in the dining hall. Back and forth would just be way too logistically a nightmare, especially when we have the volume that we deal with. So when you're talking patrol method and opportunities to do patrol level activities, those still exist. Day-long activities, those still exist. But then you can also do troop activities, which existed on both camps historically, and then obviously the merit badge opportunities that are presented on the Valley side. Stephen, does that answer your question a little bit better for you? Okay. I'll let Stephen type out an answer here, but I do have a couple of questions I can tackle, Andy. I had Jessica messaged me about asking about the sibling discount, how that works. So you're all good. So this is big because I had someone reach out, maybe it was Jessica, about having 4 siblings in the same troop, which is fantastic to hear, and how that all works. So it's non-compounding. So that means that it's not like the first sibling gets $50 off, the next one gets 100, the next one gets 150. That's not how it works. It's a one-time, like, you get $50 off for each sibling. So the highest fee does not apply. So if they're going to GSR, they didn't pay the early bird or whatever, right? Like, sibling A does not get it, but siblings B, sibling C, sibling D can all get $50 off each individually off of their final bill for their registration at summer camp. What does compound, however, is the multi-week discount. So that one is one that we are really excited to offer this year. So coming back week after week, price goes down. If you keep coming to camp, we're gonna start paying you to come, I think, by the end of it, Phil, right? So we're very proud of the work that was put in to figure out a better ways of getting our scouts to camp, and it really starts with our fees and our
Will
and
there
our
be
incentives.
a discount code to use that with? Like, how does it actually apply in here? Because I don't see anything to mark off that they're siblings in Black Pug.
So address and we understand that there are certain situations, right, where they might not have the same last name or address. And at that point, honestly, we would just ask to send a note. I mean, really, it would just be a reach out, because odds are they're gonna most of the times kids might have the same last name or at least live in the same household or be registered by the same parent that put them into the into the system, right? So when we're going through and auditing and we're running those runs there, then we can figure it out. But if we have any questions, we're happy to obviously have any contact that can be provided on the side. So awesome. Let's see. To get the early bird discount, you only need to make $100 deposit, correct? That is correct. Yep. So same as, yep, exactly. And then yes, the sibling discount is per scout. So it's not, so again, sibling A does not get a discount. Sibling B will get $50 off. If you have a third sibling, that sibling C gets $50 off. Again, they don't cross, there's no multipliers or anything like that. You if it's $100 to go to camp for sibling A, it's $50 for sibling B, $50 for sibling C to go to camp. So awesome. Yep, just $100 by March 14th for the early bird. Yes, Ellen, the sibling discount does apply for kids going to Camp Carpenter and kids going to Hidden Valley. Phil, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we decided to not include NYLT because it's a one-off, 1-week program, correct?
That is correct. There are no discounts associated with NYLT. If there is some financial aid available through NYLT, and you could talk to the NYLT director about that, Jane Richardson. So
I believe we should give Jane the floor here for a little bit to give any kind of NYLT update if she so chooses. I believe
if she's here, that'd be great.
I am here. Can you hear me this week?
Yes, we can hear you this time. Much better.
Excellent. Thank you. And yes, if anybody has any support that's needed, please do reach out to us or reach out to John and he'll get the message to us. NYLT this year is week 2, which has been different from past weeks where we've had it week 1, primarily due to the 4th being on a Friday this year. Registration is open. So we're looking for those first class scouts ages 13 and up who are moving into some leadership positions. So send them our way. If you have any questions, again, please reach out. There's lots of information on the council website. And our most recent update is that our youth and adult staff is pretty much in place. We're just about 100% staffed and our first training's coming up here in the next month.
Fantastic.
I see a question in the chat about when they need to make first class. It's recommended that by the time they get to NYLT that they are first class. If there's any issues or anything, please reach out and we do have a little bit of wiggle room. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any?
Yeah, I have a quick NYLT question. Number of NYLT scouts per troop, is there a limit?
So we run 3 to 4 troops and we've had up to 96 scouts in recent history. Last year we were right around 80 for the last year or two. So it's a lot of councils just run 1 troop. We run 3 troops, including a G troop. And we've also done a linked troop model. That's going to kind of depend on our numbers, whether we do a linked troop or have a separate G troop this year.
I guess my question is, how many can we send from our troop?
There's no limit.
Okay, thank you.
But again, we're looking, these should be scouts that are looking to, move into some leadership roles. So, and, obviously, your troop's going to need to decide whether that the troop's covering the cost or whether parents are covering the cost. And I know for my troop, that's a consideration as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yep, understand all of that.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jane, for providing an update on NYLT. Glad to be offering it again this year, obviously, and not this year, at week 2 for camp. Anything else for you, Jane?
Not for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane. Scott, I guess I just want to ask Rodrigue, I want to ask a clarifying question. No patrol cooking during week 2. Is that historically been an option? Or been the case is that because of NYLT, we're not offering patrol cooking for other units during that time?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
correct. For week 2 and NYLT. Yes.
Okay. So when we put the form for people to fill out if they want to opt for patrol cooking, we should turn that off for week 2 and make sure that's clear. Okay. Make a note of that. Thank you, Scott. Let's see. Andy, is there any questions that you're seeing or jumping out at you that you wanted to tackle? You're muted. Andy, you're muted.
So no, I have no. I'm looking at the lists here, and it looks like we've kind of hit on all of the questions in the list. So we can move on with our next things.
Fantastic. Great. Big thing that was a question last camp directors chat was about units wanting to be in the same site or units that are not a pilot combined, but to be but they would like to dual register for camp. That is possible, and they can share leaders. So we have a clear answer on that. Obviously, appropriate accommodations and separation is a key part. I have a unit right now that they are still 2 separate units with 2 separate SPLs. They would like to be in the same site, but they would like to still do separate troop activities. These are conversations that are easy to have, and we're happy to talk about scheduling in that respect. But in terms of placement, in terms of scheduling, those are things that we feel comfortable accommodating as long as we're aware of it. Now you'll see on Blackpug as one of your resources is how to dual register. It's a guide that's been made that you'll see it in there as one of the resources you can use in step-by-step of how to have 2 units register on the same registration. Let's see.
I have a question because we are one of those pseudo combined units.
Sure.
Our troop actually goes to 2 different camps in the summer, one in July, and we come to you guys in August.
Okay.
Right now, we only have one of our females who wants to go to August, and she cannot go to the June trip. She's used to being in groups of 3 for buddies. We have female leaders absolutely willing to go to camp. So can we sign her up with her being the only female, knowing that she's going to have 2 male buddies based on how the way the new combined program works? Or do we have to tell her she can't come to camp? That's kind of my question right now.
The answer is I can't to not come.
And
to
it can
camp
be a
is,
taken offline and dive deeper question.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't sure how to handle that.
No, I appreciate the question because someone was going to ask it. So I one way or another, we're going to get this kid to camp. If I see no reason for that to be the barrier for them to come to camp. Sign them up to camp and we can figure it out one way or another. Whether it's you guys share a site with a girl troop, right, or something like simple, like this, something that can happen. The kid's going to go to camp. That's my answer. So get them registered and we can figure it out from there. But getting them on property, getting them there for their session with their unit, that's we do Provo all the time, right? So
right. I mean, is this the scouts' first year?
No, this would be their 3rd year going to Valley.
Okay. All right. So
they know their way around. They
know their way. So my big concern was are they afraid to tent by themselves?
Oh no, they tented by themselves last year because we had 3 girls last year. So this person tented by themselves anyway. She's 1,000% comfortable with all of the male scouts, so that's not an issue either. So and
as long
I'm
as we're following the triple buddy rules,
okay.
I don't think there's anything we can't figure out.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you again, Jessica. Don't feel bad, but thank you for bringing that question up, and that's fine to ask. Like, I don't think that's a reason a kid shouldn't go to camp. So
John, can we go
there we
back
go.
to the sharing site question?
Go for it.
Last year we had 4 troops in our site. Is that does Black Pug have that capabilities? I know you said 2, but we had 4 smaller troops all in one site, all in Amanuka last year. All units that work together in the district and do things together, so it's not a question of kids not knowing kids, but I just want to make the registration go smooth.
I hear you, and I'll tell you that after seeing what getting a full year under our belts of what the back end of Black Pug looks like, and then additionally knowing like the personnel, the leadership behind, from the commissioner side of things. That's the beauty of Black Pug, is that it's not a computer assigning. It's just gonna line up what every single, like, what your preference is. It's not a you're grabbing that site, you're requesting the site. And then when a human looks at it, they're gonna know, oh yeah, these guys from this site, they were all in Amanuga last year. Let's just put them, they're probably gonna want to be back together again this year. So whether it's another commissioner, whether it's Andrew, like whoever it is, they're going to have that same intuition, or they'll ask the same question to achieve the same. Like I can't imagine that wouldn't be the case. So it's not a computer randomly assigning or whatever. It's going to be a report that comes out and it's going to show everybody, and we can go from there. So if you're worried, you can definitely send a note to Andy or to Andrew, during your pre-camp leader meeting, 2 weeks out or ahead of time. So I see no issue in meeting that goal for you. Does that answer your question, Mark?
I think so. The units have already been talking about sharing a site again this year, so it sounds
Great.
like it's almost a done deal. It's Plymouth and Meredith and Moultonborough and Northfield, so it's yeah.
If it makes all of you guys happy and it fills up the campsite, to me that's a win-win. So we'll figure it out.
Right. Just make it hard for us and make us find a bigger campsite for you, okay?
John, I would love to.
But no, I'm glad it worked for you guys. I'm glad you guys got a lot out of that last year, and I see no issue with that for this year. So we've covered combined, registrations, shared sites, mixed buddy triples now. So I think we've kind of hit everything on Campsite Hill. So do we can send it down to the waterfront now if we'd like, or something. But just the big highlight, big update we have is that we're not going to be offering BSA Guard as a program this year. So that program is being retired, it's going away. Currently still working to have, I'd like at least 2 in this council to have lifeguard instructors through American Red Cross. And if not, I have some friends I could probably pull to at least cover a week, and whether it's pre-camp or a special, hey, come week 5 if you want to do lifeguard, and it can be just a 1 week kind of bottle program. So we have a couple of things we're kicking around, but in terms of people that are interested, we're still figuring that out, because we want to be able to meet that objective first before starting to offer things. So just the operating right now is we're not going to have a lifeguard training offered at GSR this summer. Let's see, what else do we have here? Andy, is there anything else that you have on your list of program topics?
Well, there was the one thing. Can I because I don't think I've officially announced my plans for the dining hall. Can I talk about that?
Dude, it's your camp. Talk about it.
Fantastic. All right. And I'm sorry. I know this is going to annoy some people. This is definitely the new guy making a change just because he can and he wants to. And that is, sometimes just upsetting into itself. But here we go. I'm going to lay it out on the table. I hate standing in lines. I hate it. I hate standing in lines. So there will be no lines in the dining hall. Period. We will have 3 sit-down meals. All 3 meals will have waiters. If we figure out how to offer salads, there will be salads on your table, like it was Olive Garden. Cereal, we'll figure out cereal to have a thing of cereal on each table. There will be no standing in lines in the dining hall at mealtime. And I think that's the biggest, most important thing that I can say about the dining hall. We have two great folk that are going to be heading up the dining hall this year. We have a combined dining hall stewards. One who has a great personality and is a young go-getter and is going to learn and is great about communicating with the kids. We have somebody else who is awesome at taking care of all of the details in the dining hall and making sure the food's coming out on time, that the food is going to where it needs to go, whether it's patrol cooking or a scoutmaster dinner, and is good at making sure that the dishes go through and come out clean and sanitized and all that sort of thing. So we're kind of, rather than trying to fit a single square peg into a hole that is just too big, we're kind of splitting that into a couple of tasks, so that there's kind of a face and a back of the house guy, and to make sure that that all runs smoothly. So that's kind of how that will run. So there's a good chance you won't always see the same person making announcements at the dining hall, because there are 2 people who will be sharing the role as steward. So we in the week's hours at camp, the line for the dining, the salad bar was awful. What the plan is, like I said, imagine Olive Garden. Each day, each lunch and each dinner, you get a different giant bowl of salad on the table, and those that want salad can have salad. It's just there. You don't have to stand up. So it's not the same salad at every meal. It will be a different salad. We'll still be using the same variety of ingredients that we purchase to fill the salad bar. They'll just be assembling a different style salad each meal. Is kind of the plan. Because it's great for the first half of the people that get there. Honestly, for the second half of the people who get there, it's always a mess and it's terrible. So I understand.
Yeah. So we're still early in the process.
Right.
But it's something that
have to talk about
we've
to the food service about to exactly how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
But I have done this at other camps and it does actually work.
Right.
It can actually work. We end up using the same amount of ingredients and creating the same amount of waste. So
Yeah.
that's been my experience doing it.
I'm really glad that this is the thing that's causing the most comments in the chat.
A lot of people
you're really
they're
getting the people fired up.
Their salads.
People are fired up. Salads matter. So another thing I think Andy's hitting on that he's not saying is that a retooling of dining hall program as well. My understanding is that there was a generous contribution of some TVs that are now going to be mounted in the dining hall as well to improve that experience overall. So we're not just going to be, throwing the Goonies on Thursday nights. Like we're gonna, whatever it ends up being. Like there's going to be some opportunities to have a really revamped, refreshed dining hall experience, which includes the dining hall program as well. And so that's something we really were excited to share. And as you can see, Andy's very excited about it.
Yes, indeed. We will work it out. We'll figure out how to make it work. So that was one big huge one on my list. Are we able to talk about some of the new program offerings, or has that stuff not been squared away yet?
So we've been squared away, waiting on some review from National. So it's more of a formality. But frankly, Andy, we can talk about that a little bit. So firstly, we're really just trying to see what kind of program is really possible to just kind of kickstart and get going again. And something that we've really been having a lot of conversation about over the past year is an intro to backpacking program. Something to get the kids, back out in the backcountry around the reservation, hiking and experiencing all 3,500 acres that GSR has and beyond through the Belknaps and the Lakes region. So we're looking at opportunities right now to make sure that even if you're a beginner or intermediate, that there's a level of progression here. We're not just throwing you to the boulder trail up the side of Belknap or a rock scramble of this intimidating standards. We're looking at getting kids excited and wanting more. So our backpacking around the Belknaps is something that we're really excited about. And the cool thing is this is the Bell Hill conversation, is that we're looking to actually tent at least one, maybe two of the sites up at Bell this summer. Everything is still there. The safety pavilion, the shower house, everything, and giving kids that base camp experience on the Bell Hill to be able to go hike around the Belknaps, come back and get back out there again the next day. So now everything has to run through, a Go Pasture Hill outpost or a Lookout Knob or, going up to Upper Round Pond. If you look at the map, Camp Bell's Campsite Hill sits smack in the middle of the whole range, and it sits at about 1,000 feet. So these kids have a great launching off point built right into the reservation for them to be able to build a lifelong passion for hiking and getting out in the backcountry. So that's something that we're really excited just to kind of get this next generation of scouts that go to GSR to experience. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that program if anyone wants to throw out anything like there. Thank you, Vic. Appreciate that. Yeah, so we've been dropping hints all off season here, actually, Ellen. So when we're ready to finally put the full program design, it's going to be almost like a little appendix or amendum to our program guide when we're finally ready to announce it. But you might have heard some whispers about a GSR mini week. And that mini week that we've budgeted out and we've modeled out for is exactly what we're looking to do with this. So this could be not just a Provo opportunity, but just like a bottle program opportunity for scouts to come back to GSR as an individual or as a patrol, and they would only be there for 4 days, 3 days, really. They leave the day or they come in late. We're really just trying to hone in on how we want to staff it and how we want to be able to design it. Because obviously, we know how the Belknaps work in the summertime, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. every day. There's a big old thunderhead that rolls on through. But sometimes those last a couple of days and our hiking windows get diminished. So to make sure that kids get their opportunity to get out in the mountains in the backcountry, when they do come in that shortened window on the mini program, that's what we're really trying to figure out right now. So that's kind of what's holding us up. So Joni, when I say it's going to probably be like a Tuesday to Friday program or a Wednesday to Saturday, that's what we're kind of talking about at this time. So but that's still something to change. We're trying to get this launched here. It wouldn't be independent of the early bird pricing. It'd be its own price point that would be fixed. It wouldn't have any aspect that would be it would be come as you are, and these we're offering it weeks 4, 5, and 6, or 6 through through week 7. It's not going to be something that we're going to make an incentive on. We just want people to come and hike and do backcountry. Let's see. Yes, Mike, units are allowed to request when you do register. There is a button for you to click that says you're willing to accept provisional scouts. Now, if there's a specific provisional scout, so say you have a second troop in your town and the troop is going a different week than the kid can go, and they have friends in the other unit or something, that can be just a quick email, and we can just make sure that Provo kid gets assigned to your unit. But yes, if you want to request to host provisional scouts, that is in the registration like it was last year. And then Ellen, to answer your question, so that's the beauty of this program, is that we're looking to have a scaled design to it. So intro to backpacking, it could be a 1 day or 2 day experience for just a 1 overnight thing where you get some education, it's a guided hike by our staff, and get you out into get some payoff, feel like you accomplished something, right? And really, it's gonna, once we're finished with that progression design, that's when we're going to be able to tell you that, hey, this is our program that we have offered for our cross country athletes in high school. It's called redlining. You have to go hike every single trail to every single trailhead, and if you can get it all done in a week, you get a cool patch. And it's not even a scout patch; it's actually one offered by like the Belknap Association. So there's all these different things that we can do. The peak bagging as well. Get the 12 points of the Belknaps, and you can get that patch as well. So I've already worked out with those organizations that actually we're going to be pre-buying a bunch of their patches, and then we can actually give them out to scouts when they come to camp. If they complete it during their time at camp, that is. So there's going to be a scalability to this. The kids that can do that 5-mile hike by the end of the week, right, and they feel like they accomplished that, and the kids that are mountain goats and they're climbing 50 miles a day. So there's going to be offerings for all interest levels and abilities and sizes as well. Let's see.
So there's a question about the Class A for dinner, to kind of interrupt for 1 second.
Go for it.
Yes, we want Class A's at the dinner meal. You don't necessarily need to be in your Class A for the other meals, but it is expected to be in your Class A certainly at evening colors, and it is suggested to be, if possible, in a Class A or a Troop Class B at morning flags. I know a lot of kids will wear their Class A over some sort of Class B or activity shirt, and be there for morning flags, and then it gets folded up, stuffed in their backpack, and is a example of amazing wrinklage by the end of the week. But so that is it. The only meal we request you to be in your Class A is dinner. But yes, evening flags, and if you can be in Class A's at morning flags, if it works out for you, that is ideal. But of course, we just ask you to prefer to salute appropriately, depending on what uniform you are or are not in. That's all.
Great. So Joni, to answer your question as well, something that we're looking at is, program, when we do our signups for classes, that, a scout could sign up for a 2-day backpacking experience on the back half of their week. So the way that the merit badge blocks throughout the week are broken out, you could do a couple merit badges Monday, Tuesday, and then the rest of the week you could dedicate to day long or multi-day programming. So you get a little bit mix of both. So it wouldn't, the mini week is, focused specifically on day long or multi-day program, while the week long program is, more traditional, and then you can sign up for what you can fit in, but know that you're paying for a full week. So again, once we have the final details published, we can talk about that. Probably we're looking at March is our March camp directors chat for really talking about these in more astute detail. But the big thing we wanted to focus on was getting a lot of the questions and anxieties answered for what will be this is the last camp directors chat ahead of the early bird deadline. But the program signups for the mini week again will not be any different or affected by an early bird price. No problem. And then looks like Sherry got her answer. Let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking, Andy, you seen anything we've missed? I think we've answered everything.
Right, I'm scrolling back
Oh,
up
right.
to see.
Call-in guy can't type.
Call-in guy can't type. Does he have a
go
question?
ahead.
So, quick question, patrol cooking. Is there going to be a menu put out so I can sell it to the scouts?
Yes. So there will be a menu
Bell,
put
Bell
out.
had a, yeah, Bell had a
Yep.
menu, so okay, thank you.
Yep. No, there will be a menu is the short answer. The reason we don't have one yet is because we have to have our menu approved by a nutritionist. And we're still a little early in the process for a menu. So that will be probably if I had to ballpark it, an April camp directors chat conversation when I can show you guys a menu. And that'll be between the food vendor, us, and a nutritionist, because NCAP, BSA, state of New Hampshire are all requiring that make sure that the kids get a nutritious meal. So, all right.
Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see, keep scrolling down. So I got a message here. Do you need a full payment and full activity selection for early bird or just a deposit? Yes. So great. Thank you for asking that, Stephen. Yep. You only need the deposit. So it's a very short window. I believe last year we did not get the merit badge guide, pre-rec guide up until after the early bird last year. Our goal is to get it out ahead of time this year. So I know that can help affect unit selection for camp. And we want to be cognizant of that because we think we got them good. And we want you to see it. So only thing we're asking for is $100 to be able to lock in that early bird price. But we will get you your the most up-to-date program guide and the most up-to-date merit badge prereq guide, so you can make that decision if you guys are on the fence about GSR. So just $100.
Right, and what badges we are offering are in the guide.
Yes. So, yep. All right. So that is now 8:11. Any final questions before we call it for tonight, everybody?
So I just got one kind of final question.
Sure.
So I know you said in version 2.1, the program guide will come out, including that sit down lunchtime. Is that going to affect merit badge offerings, or is that just okay?
No, it'll just go a few minutes into siesta.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So website for Black Pug. So when you go to nhscouting.org, you go to GSR, and when you go click register, it'll bring you to the reservation system, like our page. And so if you type in Daniel Webster Council, because we haven't had that change yet, Black Pug, it'll pop up. Actually, it'll be just 330, our council number, and you can actually search all councils. So you can book a cabin in Montana if it's owned by the Scouts on Black Pug now, if they use it. So it's actually a really cool way to be able to do short term, but also you can go in and right through our website and you can access the reservation system. Thank you, Michael, for providing it faster than I could. All right. So anyone else have questions tonight? All right. So thank you so much for coming this evening, everybody. This has been our February Camp Directors Chat. A lot of questions, a lot of answers, a lot of exciting stuff coming, and more to come as well. So we expect a new newsletter to come out with more articles, more information on a regular basis. We want to be able to provide you guys with as much content and excitement that build you guys up to keep you guys warm while we got snow flying. So there's more to come. So thank you so much for your time this evening. Have a good night.
You as well.
Yep. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next month.
Have a good night.
Thanks for hosting this.